Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lori Vanderweel, and I am one of the registered dietitians at Corewell Health Lifestyle Medicine Practice. Thank you for joining us as we continue your plant-powered journey. I'm very excited to introduce our topic today and our speaker. The webinar today is GLP-1 era, nutrition strategies for weight loss medication, and this will be delivered by Michelle Thompson, Dr. Michelle Thompson. Dr. Michelle Thompson is a triple board certified in lifestyle, integrative, and osteopathic family medicine, incorporating culinary medicine, psychedelics, and mind body skills into her patient care, along with teaching medical students, interns, residents, and attending at University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, UPMC, since 2006. As the medical director for the Lifestyle Medicine Institute, she is leading the initiative to place self-care in the center of patient care and employee health. She is changing the way medical education and residency is taught, placing lifestyle medicine at the center of their training, overseeing the lifestyle medicine residency curriculum for family and internal medicine training programs. She has served as chair of medicine and is currently vice chief of staff for UPMC, Horizon, and Jameson. Dr. Thompson created a Doctors in the Kitchen Food as Medicine and Physician Wellness program, offering CMEs for her colleagues to learn about self-care and lifestyle medicine. As an avid educator and faculty for Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine, and University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine, she has taken traditional journal clubs for the residents into the teaching kitchen. She designed lifestyle medicine grand rounds offered virtually system-wide. Dr. Thompson has transformed the way healthcare is offered in her primary care practice and community, offering free classes in nutrition, whole food plant-based teaching kitchens, mindfulness workshops, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, meditation, sound therapy, art therapy, forest bathing, shop with a doc, aromatherapy, dancing mindfulness, Ayurveda, mind body medicine, and many other integrative tools, empowering people to take control of their health. She has received many awards and grants for her community work, where she brought the Dr. Yum Project for three counties and 2 states to teach nutrition to children and their families in 10 Head Start programs. Her pop-up teaching kitchen she designed moved through the community, teaching churches, schools, businesses, first responders, and doctor offices the daily dozen and pillars of lifestyle medicine. As a champion for UPMC Physician Thrive, she is a fierce advocate for physician wellness and stopping burnout. Dr. Thompson created full-day programs for physicians and nurses to learn tools for resilience and self-care. Dr. Thompson was featured in the New York Times on several occasions for her work in physician burnout, the workshops she has created, and mind-body skill groups for physicians, and implementation of AI in healthcare. She was featured in the recent documentary, Going Om, discussing the health benefits of sound therapy as a tool in healing. She is an advocate for system change and has been a pioneer in changing the way healthcare delivers. I am really excited for this presentation, and I welcome Dr. Michelle Thompson.
Hi, Lori. Hello,
Hello.
everyone. I'm so excited to be with you today and talk about something that is much needed, right?
I'm so
That's
excited. Yes, I love
yeah,
all your integrative tools.
there's a lot of questions I think that people have. So I would love to share my screen if that's
Yep,
possible.
absolutely. And I will go ahead and get off too.
How does that look? Are we good? You're muted.
Yes, looks good.
Okay, good.
Yes, looks
All
good. Sorry.
right, wonderful. That's okay. So, we're going to talk today about the GLP era, nutrition strategies for people on weight loss medications. And again, I'm really excited to be with you. We're going to really dive into the power of lifestyle medicine. We're going to talk about creating healthy behaviors for sustainable future in weight management. And we're going to talk about working with and without GLP-1s, because I think that there is definitely lots of questions that people have. There's a lot of noise out there in the world about what do I do? Should I take these medications? What does this look like for me? I think one of the biggest things that I want to bring to you today is, thinking about your own prescription for wellness and thinking about, body positivity, healthy at every size. And I think also activating your inner healer with mind body medicine and knowing the tools you need to take care of yourself and knowing that there's no judgment, no shame about medications. Sometimes we use them, sometimes we need them, and then sometimes they may not be right for us. So really just diving into what this can look like in your own journey. I'm excited for all of you being on this plant-powered journey, and hopefully this is just changing the way you live your life forever. And so we're going to talk about lifestyle medicine and weight. I think that some of you have already heard about these lifestyle pillars, but we'll review them again. All pillars can impact health. So sleep, exercise, nutrition, stress management, substance use, connection with others. And all these pillars can work together. So sometimes the key to improving your weight management is not necessarily focusing only on food habits, but also part of how you sleep, managing your thoughts, managing your stress, and how you move and choose and connect. I will tell you, for me personally, sleep is the biggest thing that I struggle with. Personally, I wear a sleep tracker, an Aura ring to just make sure that I stay on track. Because if I'm not sleeping well, I may not want to get out and exercise. I may have more stress or anxiety because I didn't get a good night's sleep. I may not want to connect with my friends, and I may not eat the healthiest of food choices. So, and then you may grab a substance instead of, what you really need is to move your body just because you're tired because you didn't get a good night's sleep. So working on all these things together definitely are important. So behaviors are something that are really important for us because behaviors are repeating choices that can be helpful or harmful. So creating a healthy lifestyle with long-term health benefits is something we're going to talk about today. Remember, we want to make sustainable changes. We don't want to just do something that is something we can do for a week. We want something that we are learning to love the food that loves us back. We're happy with the life that we've made and the changes that we've made, and we feel that they're sustainable and we feel happy to be doing what we're doing. And then understanding managing weight relates to more than just food. So we're going to talk today a little bit about the facts about the GLP-1s and lifestyle medicine. 1 in 3 adults are overweight, so that's 30.7%, and more than 2 in 5 adults have obesity, that's 42.4%, and then 1 in 11 adults have severe obesity, 9.2%. And the annual cost of GLP-1 drugs cost $12,000 per person on average annually. And so that's quite a lot, right? So when we're looking at this, we always classify based on body mass index. That's unfortunately where we still are with insurance companies and the way we're classifying, but we're going to talk about that a little bit. So BMI, we know that a BMI of 25 to 29.9 is classifying you as overweight, which leads to an increased disease risk. But a BMI of 30 to 34.9 classifies you as obese, which has a higher disease risk. And then when your BMI goes up to 35 to 39.9, you have a very high disease risk. And then 40 or greater is an extremely high disease risk. So we know that excess fat accumulation increases the risk for negative health effects. So how can we get to this healthy weight? We know that the GLP-1s are hormones that we make inside of our body. So the natural GLP-1 is produced in the gut when we eat. So our gut microbiome plays a role. Certain bacteria produce the metabolites that help release the GLP-1, and the gut bacteria breaks down fiber. Eating fiber-rich foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains can boost that GLP-1. So regardless of if your insurance company pays for these medications or not, there's still something that you could do to boost the GLP-1 inside of your own body. We do also know that the gut microbiome is something that's constantly changing. It's like the pond water or the pool chemical water, right? Every day it changes. So environment plays a role, sleep plays a role, stress plays a role. There's something called the gut and psychology syndrome. So if we have more anxiety, it can disrupt the gut. If we have gut issues, it can cause anxiety. Remember, if we don't get a good night's sleep, we can have, predisposition to have some anxiety. And we have choices that we make all day, every day. So eating fiber-rich foods, things like fruits, veggies, whole grains, is something that we can actually do to help each and every one of us on our journey. Excuse me. So GLP-1s, prescription assist. What does this look like? The prescription, also known as the glucagon-like peptide 1 agonist, is also known as the GLP-1 receptor agonist or incretin mimetic or GLP-1 analog. Whole big words there, right, for us to kind of know, but that's the abbreviation of GLP-1s. So let's take a look. The GLP-1 medication is injectable. It causes the same response as the hormone inside of our body. It slows the gastric emptying, so you feel full longer. It slows the digestion. It decreases our blood sugar spikes. And the prescription long-term use, there are some pros. There is a 10% body weight loss average. The maximum weight loss is about 15 to 20% of body weight. And there is some cardiometabolic risk factor improvements and prevention of cardiovascular events. But there are some, like everything else, some long-term use cons. Cost, as we saw, $12,000 annually is definitely not doable, especially if insurance is not paying for it. Unfortunately, the weight can be regained when you stop the medication. There can be possible side effects, such as GI side effects, muscle mass loss, pancreatitis, and the incidence can increase with these medications. So it's definitely something that we need to think about. This slide really just showcases all the different names of the GLP-1s that are out there. And I'm just going to pause for a minute to let you take a look. There is the prescription brand name and generic name listed here for you. So maybe you've heard of these medications such as Trulicity, Victoza, Ribellus, Byetta, Adalimumab, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Ozempic, and Bydureon. So all the generic names are listed there for you as well. But the important thing to know is that there's lots of these medications out there. So what do we do about this? And how do we choose what is right for us or if this is right for us at all? So prescription GLP-1s and lifestyle medication for some with obesity, lifestyle medicine alone does not provide significant impact on the scale. So 5 to 6% of weight loss in 1 year. But medication, remember, averages about 6 to 10% of weight loss. We know bariatric surgery yields about 30 to 35% of weight loss. So there's also pros and cons that really just need to be discussed with your own personal physician. So you have to look at all these different options for weight management and think about what may be right for you. One thing I will say is that we really should not be going into the medication the realm or the bariatric surgery without first trialing lifestyle medicine. Because again, you do not know what that lifestyle medicine is going to do for you unless you try. And so we're going to talk about what that looks like today. The other thing that is important to note is that if you use medication and you use bariatric surgery, you definitely need to be using lifestyle medicine hand in hand. I will tell you that our physicians at the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center will refer all of their patients that are on medication and that have had bariatric surgery to our lifestyle medicine program so that you have the added support so that you can make sure you're working on your tools of sleep, exercise, nutrition, stress management, substance use, and connection with others, also working alongside of our dietitians and our health coaches, making sure that you make positive, sustainable behavioral change. So the prescription GLP-1s in lifestyle medicine, weight gain is definitely common after you stop the GLPs, possibly due to the hormone adjustment and then the central nervous system inability to regulate weight with less GLP stimulation and or prolonged exposure to the GLPs. So a combination, as I said, of prescription GLPs as well as lifestyle medicine does accelerate the weight loss with emphasis on food choices as well as behavioral strategies that will be beneficial to reduce weight gain if eventually you're going to plan to taper off these medications, which I can imagine that most of you will want to try to do because you don't necessarily know that your insurance will cover medications for life, and also if you're developing side effects associated. So let's take a look at prescription versus lifestyle medicine. So this chart that I'm going to share with you showcases body weight reduction at 68 weeks. And we look at it with the semaglutide, 15%, some greater than 20% without diabetes. Those with diabetes lost 9%. And then lifestyle medicine was 5 to 10%. So if we look at what we require, cognitive and behavioral strategies to monitor our food intake, well, with the semaglutide, no, it really doesn't require cognitive and behavioral strategies to monitor our food intake, but some people may choose to implement. We hope that all people choose to implement this. We know with lifestyle medicine, yes, it's absolutely required that cognitive and behavioral strategies are used to monitor our food intake with lifestyle medicine. The financial component, let's take a look at that. Yes, with semaglutide, there is a financial component associated. With lifestyle medicine, no. We actually can also teach you eating healthy on a budget. We know that being whole food plant strong can actually cost less than when we are eating foods like meat that can actually cost more money. And we can teach you how to do that through programs like Teaching Kitchens. And I personally have a video out there called Shop with a Doc on YouTube. It's just my name, Dr. Michelle Thompson, Shop with a Doc. And we go through the grocery store at Aldi and we talk about making choices that we can financially, make, and also just how we can, learn to love the foods that love us back and not cost lots of money along the way. So what about focusing on whole food, nutrient dense foods? No, not with the semaglutide, but some may choose to make that choice or incorporate those foods. But in lifestyle medicine, we're definitely focusing on whole food and nutrient dense food. What about sustainability? Well, we know that weight gain is very likely after DCing or stopping, the semaglutide. We also know that if you change your lifestyle, you can also gain weight. So that's something to think about. Either one, you're going to have to be mindful about forever. And so encouraging physical activity, no, not with semaglutide, but that may provide the ability to easily be more active, especially if you're taking off weight, you have more energy, maybe because you're hauling less weight around. And then you feel like, well, I've already got some weight off. I'm going to try to add in exercise. And with lifestyle medicine, we know that we are encouraging physical activity. The one thing I will tell you is like when you're thinking about the weight that we're carrying in our body, oftentimes we don't think about how much energy that it expels. So I always tell my patients, think about if you picked up a 50-pound bag of potatoes and you have to carry it all around. At the end of the day, you're going to be very tired, right? So the more that 50-pound bag turns to a 40-pound bag, turns to a 30-pound bag, to 20-pound, et cetera, the more weight you lose, the more energy you gain. So sometimes people do use the medications to actually help them to get the weight off so that they can then lean into those lifestyle medicine pillars so that they can continue to be successful with lifestyle medicine alone. So risk of weight gain if discontinued, and we know that both semaglutide as well as lifestyle medicine, there is a risk of weight gain if we discontinue either of the two. So the foods that we focus on, we want to nourish our bodies. Don't just eat less. We want to eat foods that nourish us. And we want to think about also the calorie density of the food. So we know that fruits and vegetables can definitely make us feel more full with less of a calorie density. We want to choose whole food, plant foods, foods that include vegetables, fruits, whole grains, nuts, legumes, and seeds. And we want to start our meals with protein and fiber. We want to stay hydrated. We want to always have a water bottle with us, sip throughout the day. And then if you feel too full or nauseated, then you can eat small, more frequent meals. And I'm going to pause and take a drink so I can practice what I preach, because I really try to do that. So let's look at the combination. With or without GLPs, lifestyle medicine creates this behavioral change to promote improved health that is sustainable. So prescription medication can boost the results, but applying lifestyle medicine can optimize health with positive behavioral change. So if we have the prescription of the GLP medication, again, we get moving, then we think about substance use, maybe we're using less substances, maybe we're doing that plant predominant nutrition, we're getting a better night's sleep because we've moved our bodies, we've made healthier food choices. Maybe we're managing our stress better because we got that good night's sleep, and then we're able to move more because we got the good night's sleep. We're managing our stress, we're using less substances, and we're continuing to grab those plant predominant foods. So definitely that's what it looks like in combination. With lifestyle changes, we're implementing high fiber, whole foods. We're optimizing our exercise timing. So walking right after a meal has been shown to be helpful, but exercise at least 6 hours after a meal has also shown to be helpful. Getting that sufficient night's sleep. What is it? I'm sure you've already heard, but 7 to 8 hours a day is what we should be getting. Again, trying to prioritize your sleep, and then maybe adding some supplements in to boost your metabolism. Ginger turmeric tea, that's actually what I'm drinking right now. Cinnamon can be useful in anti-inflammatory, thinking about putting cinnamon into your coffee in the morning instead of a coffee creamer. You can also think about adding some supplements and considering berberine, what that means to you. Again, talking with your doctor about that. Green tea, something I always talk about. Green tea can be really good for you. I don't love the taste of green tea. It's my personal preference, but what I do is I steep my green tea and I use the liquid to either put it in my smoothie, put it in my overnight oats, put it in my soup, put it somewhere else so that I don't have to taste the green tea. So you can think about how can you maybe implement some green tea so that that can be helpful to boost your metabolism. And then again, managing our stress is really important. So we'll talk about mindful eating and we'll think about what that can consider looking like and if we want to implement that in as well. Nutrition. So the lifestyle pillar, I'm sure you've reviewed. Foods that can trigger GLP-1s. Actually, here you're going to be able to take a look at what these foods are. So the GLPs can be released by fermentable fibers. So foods like apples, pears, cabbage, barley, Brussels sprouts, carrots, citrus fruits. So even thinking about just squeezing a lemon, a lime, an orange, a grapefruit into your drink that you're drinking or over your salad, cooking, and then cooled potatoes and sweet potatoes, oats, beans, lentils, peas, chia, which you could do a nice chia pudding with. Again, on our Lifestyle Medicine YouTube channel at UPMC, we have recipes with lots of these things. Oranges as a great snack are a great fermentable fiber. Then for the unsaturated fatty acids, things like olives, extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil, fish, especially salmon, if you do salmon, and that's a personal preference, flaxseed and flax oil, as well as walnuts. And then some of the lean proteins, eggs, chicken, turkey, fish, nuts, beans, tofu, lean ground beef. And again, it's all personal preference. So I will tell you, from a personal standpoint, I changed my diet, exercise, and lifestyle 34 years ago when I became a mom, and I became whole food, plant-based. And so I think it's a journey for each and every one of us. And I tell people, don't think about really labeling yourself. What I would love to hear the world say is that we're nutritarians, and we really think about the nutrients that we're implementing into our foods. And if we're feeling like we want to make a change in our diet, can we think about leaning towards being more Mediterranean, which we know that we have a lot of science to back, and then even those further that really want to be more whole food, plant strong, or plant exclusive. Again, your body, your choice. We want to make sure that we're honoring all of that and we're activating something that can be very sustainable for you. We don't want you to just do something for a period of time and then you quit and give up. We want to make sure that you are enjoying the food, because we know that we have to eat 3 to 5 times a day, right? So home cooking research supports that the benefits of cooking at home lead to healthier diet and characteristics, leading to positive health outcomes. People who cook at home more than 5 times a week are more likely to follow a better dietary pattern. Cooking can be meditative. It is a radical act of self-care. So, just getting the foods. I shop a lot from my co-op, from my farmers, my local people, and then I shop seasonally. So I get whatever they had. This week I just had some leeks and I didn't know what to do with them. So I looked up a recipe and I made leeks with lentils. And then I put that with my salad and I squeezed fresh lime on there to give it some citrus. And I added some fresh mint on there from my tower garden so that I had some greens mixed in with that as well. And mint is really great for digestion also. So mindful eating, let's talk about that. So mindful eating is actually really important. So learning to be with your food, learning to love the food that loves you back, thinking about the who, what, where, when, why of food. And so, maybe you go to my website and you listen to the wholeheartedmedicine.org website. The meditation page has a mindful eating podcast on there. It's an hour long. There's also a mindful eating meditation that's just a few minutes long. You can also, I have a Facebook page. It's just my name, Dr. Michelle Thompson on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, MT Yogi Doc. But when you think about mindful eating, it's thinking about utilizing your senses. Again, who, what, where, when, why of food, right? Thinking about where did that food come from? So maybe let's use a blueberry, for instance. So where did that blueberry come from? Think about the farmer that farmed it. Think about how did it get from the farmer to the grocery store? Think about the person who checked it out. Think about how did it get to you? Maybe you went and picked up the blueberries. Maybe you used Instacart or DoorDash to get it to you. So being grateful for those people that got you that blueberry, then taking a look at the blueberry, thinking about your utilizing your sight, looking at the blueberry, thinking about what that's going to do as you start to you enter it into your body to digest it. Thinking about the smell, maybe you pierce the skin and you smell. Can you smell the blueberry? Is there any sound if you squish the blueberry? Doesn't make any sound. This is like, say you did this with a potato chip. You crunched the potato chip, you could hear the sound, right? So you could do this with anything whatsoever. Put it up to your lips. Do you begin to salivate? The salivation process is the beginning of mindful eating. And so we move from the sympathetic fight or flight nervous system that kind of out there doing things, being chased by a tiger, into the parasympathetic, the digestion and the rest nervous system, where we want to take in our foods, because we want to take in our foods in that parasympathetic nervous system, because that's when we digest the best. So the most perfect diet in the whole wide world, if you're eating it while you're being chased by a tiger or while you're running a marathon, you're not going to absorb all those nutrients. So you really want to come back to your food. So utilizing the sight, the sound, the smell, the taste, putting it into your mouth, thinking about as you're chewing this food, chewing it, slowing down, being with it, activating that digestive process. And then that's going to help us eat slower, more mindfully until we're 80% full. We know that mindful eating can actually help towards positive weight maintenance. So that's something that we can all implement and express gratitude. We actually have on our dining room table, and as well as on my desk, I have a chime that I just ring. We say what we're grateful for before we eat, and we put our hands on the table. We take some deep breaths. We activate our nervous system to move from the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system. And then we begin to enjoy our food. You can also do this in the form of dark dining or shutting the lights off and, getting your meal all ready, having it on the table, and actually, closing down the lights and sitting with your family and then eating with your fingers, really the feel, like, how do you feel the food that utilizing again, all of those senses. So I'm going to end with a breathwork practice. I am trained in mind body medicine, certified in mind body medicine. And I really think it's really important for us all to have a mindfulness practice, whether it's tapping or biofeedback or breath work or whatever that is. It allows us to activate our own inner healer. And so I'm going to stop share of my slides. And if I could just do a little breathwork practice with you, I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable and safe doing that. And if not, just softly gazing at the floor. Starting to come into your breath, breathing slowly and deeply in through your nose, all the way to the top of your head. Letting it out through your mouth, all the way to the bottom of your feet. Continuing to breathe at your own pace, knowing that your own pace is the most perfect pace. Maybe placing one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly, if that feels good to you, and feeling your chest rise as you breathe in and belly expand as you breathe out. Letting go of any thoughts of the past, anything that no longer serves you, and not thinking about anything you need to do when we're done here, but can you be right here, right now? Knowing that as long as you're breathing, you're safe and you're well. And as long as you're breathing, you have the ability to make a change. Maybe placing both hands on your heart, noticing your heartbeat, knowing that this perfect pace of breath, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, this breath is what allows us to all be here to connect with each other, to share, to be vulnerable, to care for ourselves, to activate your inner healer, your intuition, your inner guide. And again, as long as we're breathing, we have the ability to make a change. Breathing slowly and deeply in through your nose, out through your mouth, or in through your mouth, out through your mouth, if that feels better to you. But knowing that this breath allows us to control our nervous system, moving us from that sympathetic fight or flight into the parasympathetic rest and digest. We may not be able to control a lot of things in the world around us, but we can control our breath and we can use it to care for ourselves. And again, this breath is a radical act of self care, pausing, noticing, how can I take good care of myself? This self care is not selfish, it's important for every single one of us. Continuing to breathe, and maybe on your next out breath, maybe relaxing a little bit further, noticing if you're gripping or holding. Can you soften? You too deserve to be comfortable. You deserve to be cared for. You deserve to care for yourself. Maybe breathing in love and kindness and tenderness and care and compassion for yourself, just like you give to so many people. Can you give that all to yourself in this moment? Maybe smiling at yourself. Can you be grateful for showing up? Can you be grateful for taking this time to learn, to activate your inner wisdom, your inner healer, your inner knowing? And can you be grateful for being on this journey and knowing that you're in control of your destiny and your path, and we're here to support you each and every step of the way. One more very last mindful breath, really feeling the quality of the air as it goes in and out of your body. It's like a wave in the ocean. And then opening your eyes when you feel ready and coming back to the screen. All right. So, how are you all feeling? I hope that was informative. I hope you feel like you have the tools to make good choices. I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, remember the Nutrition for Activation of Sustainable Change on my website, the mindful eating, the shop with a doc, our YouTube channel. It's all free. There's resources to support you. I love working alongside of Corewell Health and my dear friend, Dr. Melissa Sunderman. So I want to thank her for asking me to be here to be with you today. And Lori, what questions might you have for me?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Thompson. That was an amazing presentation. We really appreciate you being here today. Tell us a little bit more about that Shop with a Doc program. Do you have any general need to know for people when they're going to that grocery store and looking for those foods?
So this was designed when I used to go grocery shopping with my patients, and it became not sustainable for me to go grocery shopping all the time with my patients. So I'm like, what would it look like if I just record this? And so I went with my dietitian, and my project manager filmed it while we walked through Aldi. We got permission and we just went through the shelves. We talked about things to buy, things to not buy. We talked about reading a food label. We talked about ways that you can get tricked, like peanut butter is a big one, right? Peanut butter will say natural on it, but it's full of sugar. I'm not sure how natural that is. We talk about making choices of, what do you do if foods start to go bad? And you can throw them in the freezer so that you could save them for later. Things like kale or your berries. What if you over purchase things? Like, how do you really just make good food choices? I myself grew up very poor. Nobody taught me this stuff. And so I've had to learn along the way. Everything that I have done is self-taught. And again, I changed my foods when I became a mom because I wanted to be that change that I wanted to see in the world. And I wanted to make sure that my son understood making good, healthy food choices. And so I had to figure it out. So it's very, basic for us to just teach you what should you buy, like how can you substitute your pasta for a spaghetti squash. What about if you want meat, maybe you put lentils on there instead, grabbing cans of chickpeas, like how you can, save money, different healthy snacks that you might pick up. And again, it's just educational because I think that we all have to begin somewhere. So I ran a teaching kitchen this morning from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. with my own patients. And one of the patients was telling everybody else, oh, yeah, that really helped me a lot. And so that link is on wholeheartedmedicine.org under resources, or you just Google Dr. Michelle Thompson, Shop with a Doc. And I think I think you'll love it. So it's very, again, low quality. Somebody offered to go with me with big cameras and stuff. And I was like, what do we need that for? We've already done it. And it makes sense. So
Yeah,
what
I
else?
do really like Aldi, and I recommend that a lot to my patients even.
Yeah,
And I always use the caveat that they need the quarter for the cart in their own bags, right? Because I know that's one of the maybe unknowns that they're not used to when it comes to main grocery stores. And so having
right.
some of those tools and being able to see a video when somebody goes through Aldi, I think could be a really benefit.
And that keeps the cost down, right? That's
Mhm.
how they're able to offer things
Yeah.
at a lower cost. And so, truth be told, Aldi used to give me intense anxiety
Yeah.
because it was like so fast at the checkout. So, but now I'm much better at it. So,
Yeah.
what other questions might you have for
Yeah.
me?
What would be your recommendation for people who still want to include some of that animal and land protein in their diet when leaning more towards a whole food, plant-based dietary approach, whether it's once a week or once a day, kind of that starting point?
Yeah. So the Canadian plate, if you Google the Canadian plate and you take a look at that, it actually just shows little bits of the meat. So can you crowd out the meat with some of more of your plant-based proteins? So can you use beans, nuts, seeds, legumes, tempeh, tofu, and can you crowd out the meat? And so instead of when I was raised, you would have like a big piece of meat and potatoes and a vegetable. Can you just do a couple bites? And so, and can you eat that more mindfully? Because we know that when we reduce the animal products, it actually improves our health, but it's also better on the planet. So if you don't know of the term acclimatarian, it's a type of meal pattern. I was just talking about it this morning in my lecture to the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine. But we know that the climatarian pattern of eating is very similar to Mediterranean, and it's a much better footprint on our environment. So the meal patterns that are bad, that are harder on the environment, I don't want to say bad, I don't like to use the term bad, but harder on the environment are things like keto, paleo, and the standard American diet. So if we're really looking at, trying to be kinder to our planet and gentler to our planet for sustainability reasons and also for our health, if we just do, more of the whole food plant strong foods, plant proteins, and less of the animal products, more meatless Mondays, and just be creative and brave and try things. The other day, I had my family over. There were 8 of us in the house, and I made myself tofu and tempeh, and the family had lasagna, and there were meatballs. My family is Italian, so my mom made meatballs. My son was home. And so everybody ate all my tofu and tempeh. And my nephew said, Aunt Chow, what is this stuff? This is really good. And I was like, well, that was my tofu and tempeh. And so my little nephew ate all of my tofu and tempeh. He loved it. So the thing is he didn't even know what he was eating, and it was delicious. And so you can air fry that. You can, be creative with it. You can, look up recipes for things. So I think just being curious, a textured vegetable protein, making chili with that. That's one of the recipes that I tend to make and take places. You can do a cashew cheese dip that I take to places. It's not even cheese. It's made of cashews and nutritional yeast. I think it's Dr. Oz's black bean and cheese salsa. And people eat this thing, like the whole thing, and they want more, and they're dipping their veggies and they think that it's cheese, and it's cashews. So it's so rich in protein. So thinking about being creative with things like that and being brave and trying new things. And what's the worst that can happen? You flop and you don't like it, right? And I've had that happen. Parsnips. I don't tend to make good choices by making the parsnips in, but I keep trying. Like I try again.
Well,
What
and
else,
you had
Lori?
made a comment earlier within your presentation that nutritarian and leaning towards nutrients. And I think that is so important to understand that it's not necessarily a specific diet plan that's short term, right? It's looking for the nutrient dense foods, looking for that sustainability long term, those small changes that can last over a period of time rather than a short period of time.
Yeah, and there's no one right prescription for your
Mhm.
eyeglasses, right? And I say that all the time. I mean, if I handed you my prescription glasses and expected you to go through the world in those lenses, it's not going to work. So what we really have to do is honor ourselves, because if I said to you, you can never have, whatever it may be, like let's say, what is one of my guilty pleasures in life? I'm Italian, so cannoli. And if I go to Italy and they say you're going to go to Italy and you can't have one cannoli, and I would say, well, I really want to have a cannoli when I go to Italy. Why can't I have one cannoli in Italy? Or, we don't want to deprive ourselves to the point where we cannot live this way. Because
Mhm.
the thing is I am what is known as a deprescribing specialist, a disease reversal specialist. I help people get off of medications. That's my favorite thing in the world to do, is to teach you how to live with as little of medications as possible. We sometimes need them, and I don't feel judge or shame, right? Medication judge or shame. Your plate is your business. What we need for medication, sometimes we need. We're very grateful to have the medicines when we need them. But the thing that we want to know is how can we live with less as possible? And how can we get to the spot where, can you live this way? Are you happy? So if I got you to where you are, living with very little and we don't need much, I say, Lori, can you live this way? And if you say, no, it's miserable. I wake up every day and I'm longing for this. And then I say, okay, well, what does that look like? How can we implement that back in? And maybe potato chips is your thing. And can you have one potato chip instead of the whole bag? And can you eat it mindfully and just
Mhm.
really enjoy the experience of it? So it's not about taking all the things away. It's about everything you can eat, because I think that that's important to not have restriction. So you can have those meats if you choose them, but can you have less of them? And can you really eat them mindfully? And can you think about the source? How is it raised? Again, where did it come from? Can you be mindful about it and think about its impact on not just the planet, but your body and your future?
Well, and when you made that comment, love the foods that love us back. That was probably my
Yeah.
favorite tag. I absolutely love that. And same with so when with mention of medication, GLP-1s for those that can afford it or for those that do have the side effects or are not able to, implement that as a potential option within their medical care plan, would you say that fiber is the best place to start to enhance that GLP-1 production?
Yes, and you can go back and review those slides. I mean, if
Mhm.
we just implemented those foods, think about what that might look like for you. And if you struggle with the implementation of it, don't do piles of it. You don't want to just overdo it so that you get a bellyache and bloating and gas. You just do little bites. And so that's the thing. If you're implementing beans and they make you gassy, just do one bite. You don't do piles. The same when we're working on our microbiome. You don't do piles of sauerkraut and piles of kimchi and guzzle all this kombucha. You just do little sips. We put probiotic plates on our dinner table, so it may have pickles, pickled vegetables, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, coconut yogurt, and you just do little bites of each. And what you're doing is you're working on your compost pile, your inner soil, your
Yeah.
inner landscape, the inner bacteria. And then when you do those little bits, those bacteria grow, multiply, and they kind of become happier. I always say it's like the happiest party, because all the best bacteria are in there, and then your gut becomes more happy. And so again, yeah, just implementing all those natural things. And if you can't
Mhm.
tolerate it the first time, just do a little bite and try again the next time. Because remember, I said the water is different every time. The pond, if you test the chemicals, the swimming pool, the hot tub, right? Like all of
Yeah.
those are very different. And I will just share with you, I mean, speaking of chemicals, I don't know if you can see behind me, but I have a tower garden. So I grow my own vegetables in my home. And so that is just my own way of, you know, feeding myself all winter long. So I live in the north. I live in Ohio. I work for, University of Pittsburgh Medical Center in Pennsylvania, but it's cold in the winters and we can't grow everything we need, but you can grow inside with your different little tower gardens. And you can actually, but you have to test those chemicals because it's different every single day. So again, remember, your body, your choice, your plate is your business. If people aren't supportive, I always tell people, your religion is your business, your political views are your business. Tell people to mind their business. I'm not the food police. And remember, you're in charge of your fork and you can make the next bite count. So don't be hard on yourselves. Yeah. So just continue to move the needle in the direction of sustainable change and love this body. We only get one.
And with that, I think that's a great closing. So thank you very much, Dr. Thompson. We really appreciate your time and effort. I do just have a couple end notes. We are thankful to everybody that has been on these presentations and these webinars, showing up, trying something new, investing in your health, proud of anything that you have worked in during this time. We do challenge challenge with what you're fueling your body, supporting your health, building habits that last. And then whether you've tried one plant food, whether you've transformed your entire plate during this process, every step counts. Kind of again, to what Dr. Thompson was saying, even those small changes, big or small, are going to make a difference. And then don't hesitate to take a moment to reflect. That mindful eating, recognizing what surprised you, what energized you, what you'll carry forward after and beyond these 30 days or these last 30 days. And then also staying tuned for more opportunities within our lifestyle medicine practice. We do have upcoming events, we have upcoming classes throughout. Those can be found in our newsletter, they can be found on our website. And then don't forget to, again, just take one action, whether it's prepping a plant-powered meal, whether it's inviting a friend to join, whether it's journaling, whether it's just breathing, the breathing exercises that Dr. Thompson did today. Any of that mindful eating and bringing that into practice. So to end this series, if you would like to rewatch any of the amazing webinars from this Plant Powered Challenge, the links to the recordings will be sent to your email. And I, again, just really appreciate everybody's time during this process. And I hope everybody was able to gain some additional knowledge through this process. All right,
Thank you,
everybody have a
everyone.
wonderful day. Yes, thank you.
Be well, everyone.
Yes, and with that, thank you. I appreciate it.